Hey guys. Okay, so this is the last lesson before spring break. We will not be having a lesson over spring break, so bear with me. So this is something that I've noticed and that I've also gotten requests from you guys about. Pretty much all of you at some point have talked to me about this. And I've noticed it is something that really requires our attention if we want to play better. So the key to playing better, as you probably guessed, is my mama. You've all guessed it. You've all been talking about it. This is my mom, Tanya. She loves theater. She has 5 children. It should be 4 girls, 1 boy. She owns many animals. She's owned rats, ferrets. She's really nice. She even played League for a little bit. That was fun. She just one-tricked Ash, and she never took her hawk shot because she knew that she wouldn't use it, and she used those points in W instead. And she really likes Marvel. Okay, just kidding. It's communication. Communication is key. Communication with my mom is key. That is okay. So her email. No, I'm kidding. That's that's not this presentation. Okay, so legitimately, communication has been a problem with us, which is fair. Communication is hard, especially as we're learning all these complicated subjects. Keeping up with them all and being fluid in a communicative way is difficult. So what I've noticed from you guys, what I've heard from literally every single one of you, there's no open communication. You'll give a call and no one will respond. There's not a respect for when people say things, and there's too much unrelated chatter, even during like actual matches. Like the focus is leaving. So before we go anywhere, I have to remind you, the top priority is to have fun. Nothing else matters in the long run. I'm never gonna force you to do anything. You're not on scholarship or anything like that. Nothing matters except having fun. That's why you're here. That being said, it's important to remember why we're here. Playing as a team is fun. Communicating and making something bigger than the sum of its parts is fun. So we got to remember that and just regulate the regular friend chatter. It's going to happen. We're all friends, but it's important to regulate it if you can. Just remember why we are here. League is only fun in a 5v5 setting. I don't know how Jackson plays solo queue so much. This game is dog shit, but together as 5, it's actually fun. Also, I don't know if you guys know this, but G2 has a full female Valorant team, the first of its kind. And there's a PNG of them standing in a green screen online, so that's fun. Okay, so how do we go about this without killing fun? Because like trying to drill down on how we talk and what we focus on, it can kill the vibe. It can be stressful. So, number one is we're not trying to cut out jokes. We're not trying to keep you on topic the entire time. So don't cut it. Don't anything like that. You guys are friends. Don't lose that. That's what makes this fun. Instead, we just want to moderate it by not ignoring calls. Literally, all of you do this. Every single one of you ignore calls. Someone will say something and you won't respond. You won't affirm it or anything like that. You've all been guilty of it in the past. And probably most importantly, if things are getting too stressed for you or too serious in game and you're like, this isn't fun, let people know. Let Andrew or I know. Getting burnt out on League is the worst case scenario. Like, it's the worst thing. This is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be relaxing from classes, playing in a 5v5. Like, sure, I require some practices and stuff, but that's because you want to improve. Because improving is fun. Like, all of this should be fun. So if you're getting burnt out, you need to let someone know. You can take a break for a while. We can start going easy, play a couple of run it down games, anything to avoid you getting burnt out. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, now that we've got the precursor of remember to have fun, let's actually talk about what is communication. Well, there are 2 parts to it, the call and the response. There are 3 different types of calls. This is the person talking, obviously. You have informative calls, problematic or reactive calls, and decisive or proactive calls. Can be either one. And then you have the response, which is responding to someone's call. There are 3 types of responses: affirmatives, neutral, or questioning responses. Okay, so first let's talk about responding. Everyone should be responding. When there is a call, everyone should be responding. If at least if less than 3 people give a response, something's wrong. So let's break it down. There are three different types. The first is the affirmative response. This is affirming the action that you will be taking. This is someone presents something to you and you build on it. This must be a decisive response. There's no, if someone provides you with an issue that directly relates to you, you have to say, how does that portray to you? That could be, I'm on my way. It could be, sorry, I'm dead, or I can't make it right now. I have no mana. Like, it doesn't have to be, I'm going to help. It doesn't have to be that, but it has to be, okay, here's my part. Here's what I know that you don't. Then you have the neutral calls, which is probably the most common, and it's just a general response to a general statement. Stuff like, got it, sounds good, I can work with that. This is when, someone calls, oh, the jungler's topside, or Drake's coming up in 3 minutes. It needs to be short and to the point. And these are really important because it reinforces the information. If Nyx calls out that the jungler's topside, you can think like, okay, yeah, they're coming topside, and then forget about it. And 15 seconds later, they're ganking you and you're dead. But if you say it, if you just affirm it, it'll help keep it in your brain longer. It'll help you actually act to the information. So physically saying it is important. Also, don't be afraid to repeat. It's very often times that, someone will be really focused on not getting hit by a skill shot, or really focused on clearing all the waves or shoving, or be really focused. So when a call is made, for example, jungler's heading bot side, and Ben is really busy trying not to get hooked by a blitz, so he doesn't hear it. If no one repeats it, he just doesn't hear it, and then jungler comes bot and he dies. But if instead people are like, okay, jungle bot, like you repeat it, you build on it until Ben says something, it creates a sort of echo effect. It builds and builds and builds and makes it a lot easier for someone who's focused to actually hear and process. And last is questioning. This is just to figure out more information or propose your own solution. Questions like, if they're like, oh, the jungler's on jungler's bot side, you can ask, oh, how much health do they have? Or if you're looking to dive, you can ask, does the support have ult? Do they have resources? Or if Nick is like, hey, come to Drake, I want to take it, but you're clearing a wave, can you say, can we wait 15 seconds? Use this instead of arguing. We never want to disagree. We never want to say no to people. We want to pose things as a question. Why do you want to do that? Have you considered this? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, now let's look at calling. Everyone can call. There's not a single one of you that does not have the power to make calls. The most common call is the informative call. This is just, this call just has to deal with information based on the information based on the call. It doesn't require any action necessarily. So this is things like, oh, Drake is up in 2 minutes. Endling jungler's at the Raptors. I'm backing. These need to be happening at least once every 10 seconds. That's minimum. There is no maximum. You guys, there's no such thing as a lack of flow of information or too much flow of information in this game. There's so much info. There's no such thing as a bad informative call. There just really, really isn't. And it should be responded to with either a neutral, got it, or a question. So if you're saying, oh, the jungler's topside, you can ask how much health do they have. To figure out more information. You don't need to make an affirmative call most of the time. It doesn't require you to actively do something. People aren't expecting you to do something, so you don't have to make an affirmative call. Then you have reactive or problematic calling. This is when something is happening, the enemy team is doing something, and it needs attention now. Like, oh, I think they're setting up for a gank, or they're on Herald, I see them, or the enemy top, or the top laner's TPing, guys, pay attention. At this time, you need to make this call whenever they're doing anything of substance. If they leave, or if they're TPing, or if they're ganking or invading, or anything that's actually moving the game forward, say something. And it should be responded to with either a neutral call, such as repeating it, like they're on Herald, or affirmative, like, okay, I'm going to back off, or, oh, I'm on my way. There's no time for questions, typically with reactive calls. Typically, they're fast-paced. There's a short time window to get things done. That's not the time to work out the best case scenario. It's typically best to just act with it as it's called. And then you have proactive decision or calling, or decisive callings, which is just proactive decisions about what to do next. Like, after you take Baron, what do you do? After a good team fight, what do you do? Examples are like, Drake is up in 130, let's rotate to it. I think we should 1v1 here. Let's dive the bot lane. Or typically this is done by Andrew or Ben, but it's open to everyone. You guys can all make calls or chip in your opinion about what to do. Proactive and decisive proactive calls are meant for this kind of open decision. Like, okay, we're in a good position. What do we do about it? It should be open dialogue, and it should be either responded to with an affirmative or a question. You either agree and communicate what you're going to do with that information, or you question it. If you don't know enough, if you want to know some more facts, question it, but don't be neutral about it. If someone says, hey, let's go take Baron, you cannot ignore it. You can't just say okay and not do anything about it. You can't just repeat it and then not do anything. You have to do something about it, always. Okay, so let's talk about these kind of decision-making questions, because like informative calling, there's no real decisions there, but what about the other two, the proactive and reactive calls? So let's talk about multiple people affirming or questioning decisive calls, aka when people have differing opinions about what we should do next. Someone's like, I think we should split after a Baron, and someone's like, no, I think we should group and dive mid. This is a case where there really isn't authority. When there's a lot of time to decide, it's an open discussion. Everything must be discussed. You're not allowed to say no to anyone. You can't say, no, mine's better. You can't just say, because I said so. You have to listen to all of your teammates, no matter who you are. And you have to ask questions to determine the best course of action. If someone is missing something, or if you think they're missing something, well, clarify. If you have concerns, ask. And if they have a good response, then you're golden. If they don't, then that's the dialogue. That's the time to switch the decision. Okay, but what about the other side of things? When we're reacting, when there's a problematic call and we need to act quickly. The enemy is on Drake and we need to do something, but there are different feelings about it. Some people want to path this way, some people want to path that way, some people want to split mid or take Baron or fight at Drake. There can be lots of different opinions in these times of stress. And this is the point where Andrew and Ben must be listened to. This is the point where the decider must be free to decide. Okay, this is a democracy. We all need to talk about things. But in the time of crisis, under stress, the decider must be free to decide, and he must have your respect. He has to be able to count in you, and the other way around, you have to be able to count in him. At all the points of the game, question their decisions. But if a call must be made, if there's urgency, Andrew must be listened to. If they agree, Andrew's the one that makes the final call. If Andrew and Ben disagree, listen to Andrew. Unless he says listen to Ben, if he doesn't feel qualified to shoutcast a certain game or a certain scenario, in that case, listen to Ben. It's important to know that everything is the team captain's fault. If you make a bad call, Andrew gets the blame. He is the regulator for all decisions. So if you do something on your own, Andrew's going to get the blame. It is not on you. So please listen to your captain. Let him take the blame if he makes a bad call. If we're in a proactive setting, feel free to propose your disagreements, to ask questions about his strategy, make sure he's actually doing the right thing. But in these times of crisis, the decider must be free to decide. Okay, so that's all. This one was a bit longer, but here's the quiz. The quiz is also a bit longer, but I'm giving you guys literally all the spring break to do it. Please do it soon. I think I'm still gonna have it due by Tuesday, just to make sure you guys are on it. But please do it as fast as you can. There won't be a video, but I might make a follow-up quiz with this just to remind you guys of the information. But there won't be a formal lesson or whatever. So anyway, I hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions, let me know. Have a good spring break, and I will see you guys whenever.